Chapter 12. Accounting requirements for the local government. Contents: 1. Purpose. 2. Introduction. 3. Local government organizational setup. 4. Sources of revenue of local government council. 5. Assessment of tenement rates. 6. Statutory allocation. 7. Administration of local government council. 8. The council legislature. 9. Council clerk. 10. Appointment of supervisors. 11. Types of expenditure incurred by the local government council. 12. The typical local government council final account. 13. Accounting policy peculiar to local government councils. 14. Financial control of local government councils. 15. Problems/limitations of local government councils. 16. Local government councils spending limits. 17. Objectives of grants in aid system. 18. Fee charging policies in local government councils. 19. Distribution of the federation account. 20. Budgeting and budgetary control. 21. Chapter review. 22. Worked examples. Accounting requirements for the local government. Purpose. After studying this chapter, readers should be able to A. Identify the functions and sources of revenue of a local government council. B. Delineate the roles and functions of the principal officers of a local government council. C. Classify the expenditures of a local government council. And D. Describe the financial control processes in a local government council. Introduction. The local government is the third-tier administration in Nigeria. However, state governments have considerable influence over the local government councils, whose functions are stated in the 4th schedule of the 1999 Constitution as follows. A. The consideration of economic planning and the making of recommendations to State Commission on the development of the local government areas. B. Establishment and maintenance of cemeteries, burial grounds, and homes for destitute or the infirmed. C. Licensing of bicycles, trucks, motor cars, etc. D. Establishment and maintenance of markets, car parks, and public conveniences. E. Construction and maintenance of roads, streets, drain, parks, and other public facilities prescribed by the state legislature. F. Naming of roads and numbering of houses. G. Provision and maintenance of public conveniences and facilities for refuse disposal. H. Registration of deaths, births, and marriages. I. Control and regulation of outdoor advertising, movement and keeping of pets, shops, kiosks, restaurants, and other places for sale of food to the public and laundries. J. Licensing regulation and control of sale of liquor. K. In addition, local government councils in conjunction with the state governments make 1. Provision for primary education. 2. Provision for primary health care services. 3. Provision for rural water supply. 4. Provision for rural feeder road. L. All such other functions as may be conferred on a local government council by the House of Assembly of the state. Local government organizational setup. The organogram of a typical local government council is shown below. Sources of revenue of a local government council. The sources of revenue of a local government council can be classified into 3 groups. A. Statutory sources of revenue. B. permissive sources of revenue, and C. Incidental sources of revenue. Statutory sources of revenue. A. Statutory allocations from the Federation account. 20.60% of the federally collected revenue accrued to the local government councils paid directly by the federal government. B. 10% of the state's internally generated revenue. C. Fees and other charges imposed by the council under its instrument of creation and acts of parliament promulgated from time to time. Permissive sources of revenue. According to Act No. 21 of 1998, local government councils may collect the following taxes and levies only: A. Shop and kiosk rates. B. Tenement rates. C. On and off liquor fees. D. Slaughter slab fees. E. Marriage, birth, and death registration fees. F. Naming of street registration fees, including any street in the state capital. G. Right of occupancy fees on land in the rural areas, excluding those collectible by the federal and state governments. H. Market taxes and levies, excluding any market where state finance is involved. I. Motor park levies. J. Domestic animal license fees. K. Bicycle, truck, canoe, wheelbarrow, and cart fees other than a mechanically propelled truck. L. Cattle tax payable by cattle farmers only. M. Merriment and road closure levies. N. Radio and television license fees other than on radio and television transmitter. O. Vehicle radio license fees to be imposed by the local government council of the state in which the car is registered. P. Wrong parking charges. Q. Public convenience, sewage and refuse disposal fees. R. Customary burial ground permit fees. S. Religious places establishment permit fees. T. Signboard and advertisement permit fees. Incidental sources of revenue. A. Proceeds from economic projects undertaking, such as farming. B. Grants from the federal or state government. C. Investment incomes, e.g., interest and dividends received. D. Proceeds of sale of seized goods, boarded vehicles, etc. E. Donations. Assessment of tenement rates. Every tenement rate collection is assessed in the following two major ways: A. Annual value method. B. Capital value method. Annual value method. This is the rent which a tenant might be willing to pay if he undertakes to meet the cost of repair, insurance, and other expenses. The rate is 70% of the rent. Capital value method. This is the price which a purchaser might reasonably be expected to give for the property, excluding machinery in the building. The rate is 1% of the price. Statutory allocation. The statutory allocation of money to the local government councils by the federal and state governments is covered by the Revenue Allocation Act of 1982. This act was amended in 1986, 1988, and 1989. Paragraph 162, 3 and 5 of the 1999 Constitution lends weight to the extant laws earlier cited. Up to 31 of December 1991, 15% of the collections in the Federation account accrued to the local government councils. As from 1st January 1992, the allocation rate rose to 20%, and from each state government, by virtue of paragraph 162(7) of the 1999 Constitution, pays 10% of its internally generated revenue to the joint local government council account to be shared among the local government councils under the state supervision. Such revenue is shared based on a number of considerations such as population and level of development. Administration of local government councils. The local government councils are administered by both the executive and local and legislative arms of government. The executive arm is made up of the following: A. The chairman, B. The vice chairman, C. Supervisors, D. Treasurer, E. Secretary, and F. Head of Personnel Management. Chairman as accounting officer. The guidelines on the civil service reforms describe a local government council chairman as the chief executive and accounting officer. As such, he alone initiates all decisions relating to finance and accounts. He presides over council meetings and is entitled to cast a vote in the event of an election. An ambitious and authoritarian chairman could use his influence and political party councillors to get through his financial decisions, whether or not such decisions are in the interest of the citizenry. The basis, rationale, and logic of separating the executive from the legislative arms, according to the federal government, is to enhance the system of checks and balances in the presidential system. By the promulgation of the Basic Constitutional and Transitional Provisions Amendment, Decree Number 3 of 1991, all the elected councillors are constituted into the legislature and could choose a leader of the council assembly whose role is synonymous with that of the Speaker of the State House of Assembly. The major functions carried out by a local government chairman are as follows: A. Management of the local government council for proper development. B. Preparation and execution of the budget. C. Managing the community efforts on development. Vice chairman and supervisors. Section 4 of Act Number 23 of 1991 states as follows: the executive power of the local government shall be exercised by the chairman of a local government council and may, subject to the provisions of the edict or law of the state, be exercised by him, either directly or through the vice chairman or supervisors of the local government. In the absence of the chairman, the vice chairman takes over. However, the chairman is expected to assign duties to the vice chairman. Where the vice chairman is also appointed as a supervisor, he has to perform the functions relating to that other portfolio also. Supervisors are expected to be closely involved in the management of their respective departments, but are not allowed to interfere in the internal affairs. By paragraph 30 of the 1976 Guidelines on the Reforms of the Local Government, supervisors perform the following functions: A. As the political heads of departments, they are vote controllers and are accountable to the council chairman. B. They are members of the cabinet of the local government council and automatic members of the Finance and General Purposes Committee. C. Supervisors give directives to the executive heads of departments on general policy issues. They do not interfere in the day-to-day running of the departmental affairs. D. They assist the chairman in supervising the execution of local government council projects under their purview. Treasurer. A local government treasurer office is established by law and is empowered to control and manage the council's finances. The functions of the local government council treasurer, as contained in the Civil Services and Local Government Reform of 1988, include: A. Rendering financial advice to the council. B. Serve as the secretary to the budget committee. C. Receiving and disbursing money for the authorized ends. D. Keeping proper accounting records of money collected or utilized. E. Verifying the accuracy and integrity of all accounting records. F. Ensuring compliance with all financial instructions or laws for safe custody of the council money. G. Ensuring that vouchers are correctly made out and that funds are available in the appropriate vote of charge. H. Rendering necessary contemplated statutory returns to the state and federal governments. I. Ensuring that all revenue belonging to the council are collected as at when due. J. Ensuring that fiscal policies are executed and expenditure incurred with due diligence. K. Maintaining effective run and staffed financial operations. L. Keeping up to date statistical information in such a form as will enhance the submission of prompt and accurate reports. M. Submitting recommendations to the councils in its capacity as the financial advisor. N. Serving as a signatory to the council's bank account and other disbursements. O. Offering expert opinions on short, medium, and long-term basis. Secretary to the local government. Before the 1988 reforms, the secretary of a local government council was the chief executive and accounting officer. By virtue of section 5.1, 8.1, and 14.2 of the 1988 guidelines, the secretary of the council controlled the various activities. However, his duties are now being performed by the head of personnel management. Nonetheless, the council secretary: A. Liaises with the secretary to the state government and other important dignitaries on matters of interest to local government councils. B. Coordinates the operations of the various departments and represent the chairman as directed at high-level meetings. C. Is the secretary to the executive arm of the local government and maintains the records of proceedings of meetings. D. Performs other assignments as may be delegated by the chairman from time to time. Director of General Services Administration. The Director of General Services Administration, who is head of personnel management, has assumed the position of dominance as a result of the federal government's circular of 20th May 1991. The circular listed the following duties or functions of head of personnel management. A. All vouchers and checks should be signed by the head of personnel management. B. All contractual agreements, local purchase orders, works, and such other documents relating to contracts and supplies should be signed by the head of personnel management, subject to the approval of the council chairman. C. The head of personnel management is a facilitator to the audit alarm committee of the local government council. D. He is the recognized second signatory to all the disbursements of the council. E. Based on Federal Government Circular of May 1991, assumes the position of the clerk of the council legislature, even if temporarily. F. He implements audit reports on the weakness areas identified in the administration procedures. G. He is the head of the Junior Staff Management Committee. H. He is also the Secretary and Chief Administrative Officer of the Council. Act Number 3 of 1991, Basic Constitutional and Transitional Provisions, Amendment Act Number 3 of 1991. With the promulgation of Act Number 23 of 1991, the functions of the Finance and General Purposes Committee (FGPC) was transferred to the legislative arm of the Council. However, the fact is that the management of the funds of the Local Government Council is that of the executive arm. Consequently, the executive arm runs a Funds Allocation Committee (FAC), comprising the council chairman, the vice chairman, all supervisory councillors, the secretary to the local government, the treasurer, and the head of personnel management. The functions of the Funds Allocation Committee include inter alia A. Receiving and considering monthly expenditure proposals of all departments as collated by the treasurer. B. Arranging the payment of contractors' fee and approving all disbursements from the coffers of the council, especially for the settlement of personal emoluments. C. Deliberating on the monthly financial statements prepared by the treasurer. The council legislature. The legislature consists of the leader of the house, his deputy, and the elected councillors. The local government council is the legislative arm of the local government. Members of the house perform the following functions: A. Debating and passing of local government legislations. B. Debating, approving, and possibly amending the local government council's annual budget, subject to the chairman's veto, which would be overridden by third parties majority of the council members. C. Vetting and monitoring the implementation of projects and programs in the local government council's annual budget. D. Examining and debating monthly statements of income and expenditure rendered to it by the executive arm of the local government council, consulting with the local government council chairman, who is the head of the executive arm of local government, and F. Performing such other functions as may be assigned to it from time to time by the State House of Assembly in which the local government council is situated. Elections of leaders in a council. The councillors shall elect from among themselves one person as the leader. The role of the council leader should be synonymous with that of the Speaker of the House of the State House of Assembly. Meetings of the local government council. Councillors are part-time legislators. However, the council shall meet at least once a month. Council clerk. The head of personnel management department is designated as the council clerk. In addition to his other normal duties, The council clerk provides normal secretarial service to the meetings of the legislature. He liaises with the secretary for the smooth running of the administration of the local government council. Appointment of supervisors. All supervisory councillors shall henceforth cease to exist. In their place, the local government council chairman shall appoint, from either within or outside the council, supervisors who shall not be fewer than 3 or more than 5 in number, depending on the size, revenue base, and complexity of the area. The supervisors who are in charge of specific portfolios or responsibilities shall be appointed in consultation with the legislative arm of the local government council. However, in the event of an elected councillor being appointed as supervisor, such councillor shall immediately vacate his council seat. A by-election is later conducted by the State Independent Electoral Commission (SIEC) for the councillors in the affected ward. The council chairman shall promptly report all such cases to the State Independent Electoral Commission, which shall arrange by-elections in accordance with the law. In the interest of progress, stability, and orderly development, supervisors shall, in all cases, be persons of outstanding merit, with relevant educational and cognate experience in matters relating to their assigned portfolios. In addition, their appointments shall reflect the geographical character of the local government areas. Types of expenditure incurred by the local government council. This may be discussed as follows. A local government council incurs expenditure on a day-to-day running of its affairs. Examples are: 1. Personnel costs. 2. Maintenance and repairs, petrol cost, rent, electricity, and water bills. B. Capital expenditure are incurred in constructing roads, motor parks, toilet facilities, etc. Expenditure are classified into the main heads and appropriate subheads departmentally. Highlights of the accounting procedures. A. The sum total of the amounts disbursed under the subheads of a particular head are aggregated at the end of the financial year. The numbering of the subheads under a particular head varies from one expenditure to another. In some cases, there may be over 20. B. The capital expenditure of a local government council are written off in the years incurred. Memorandum entries only are kept for expenditure incurred on fixed assets. Consequently, the balance sheet of a local government council will not disclose any information on the fixed assets required. C. Capital or proprietorship interest, as in the case of private organizations, is not shown. D. The differences between receipts and payments is referred to as general revenue balance or surplus, rather than profit or loss. The reserve or excess of income over expenditure is transferred to the statement of assets and liabilities. E. What we have in the statement of assets and liabilities is an array of current assets and liabilities. The typical local government council final accounts. Typical local government final accounts are made up of A. A statement of income and expenditure for the year ended 31st December 20. B. A statement of assets and liabilities as at the year ended 21st December 2000. We are given the typical format of a statement of revenue and expenditure. Accounting policy peculiar to local government councils. The cash basis of account is generally used just as it applies to the first and second tiers of government. Income is recognized only when the cash is received. Expenditure is recognized when the liability is paid for. Financial control of local government councils. The financial control of the local government council can be appreciated in two realms, namely internal control and external control. These are discussed as follows. Internal controls. The internal controls measures are A. Issuance of financial authorities, e.g. supplementary warrants. B. Appointment of committees for different services. C. Centralization of all payments. D. Preparation of standing orders and instructions on the signing of checks issued, payments on accounts, etc. E. Establishment and maintenance of internal audit. F. Preparation of estimates of income and expenditure for the year. G. Budgetary control and feedback processes. External controls. The following are the external control measures. A. Legislative control in brackets National Assembly and State Assembly. B. Federal government and state executive control. C. Control by the general public, comments by individuals on local government councils. D. External auditor control. Control from 1. Auditor General for the local government. 2. Auditor General for the state. And 3. Auditor General for the Federation of Nigeria. Problems or limitations of local government councils. The problems facing local government councils are as follows. A. Local government councils are not allowed to raise tax or introduce a new form of tax without express permission from the state government. B. They have limited revenue sources. C. They cannot raise loans or maintain loan funds without permission. D. Because they cannot raise loans, councils find it difficult to execute essential capital development projects, e.g., poor revenue collections may cause delay in the payment of staff salaries and difficulty in executing essential capital development projects. F. The non-payment or delay in payment of federal or state government grants or shares of oil revenues to the local authorities. G. The non-viability of certain local authorities, especially those whose areas have small population figures. H. Rising costs and increasing demand for improved services. F. Ineffective financial and management controls internally and externally. Local government councils spending limits. In order to curtail wasteful spending, the regulation pegs the expenditure approval ceiling of each principal officer of local government council as follows. Conditions or procedures for disbursing money. 1. All expenditure approvals by an official shall be reported within a week to a higher officer. 2. Every officer authorizing expenditure will be personally liable for expenditure approved by him. 3. Approval of expenditure is subject to the normal budgetary appropriation. 4. Contracts above local government council limits should be approved by the Ministry of Local Government. Objectives of grant in aid system. A. To augment the resources of local government councils. B. To meet the exceptional needs or the limited means of a particular area. C. To assist central control over particular services. D. To influence aggregate local government expenditure as part of the process of control. Fee charging policies in local government councils. The local government council charges a fee for each service it performs for individual and corporate bodies. It is the function of the local government treasurer to advise on the level of the various charges for the services rendered. In formulating a charging policy, the local government authorities take into consideration the following: A. The level of development in the area. B. The status of the people in the community. C. The nature of services to be rendered. D. The skills and technical competence of those required to perform the services. Distribution of revenue in the Federation account. According to Allocation of Revenue, Federation account, etc., Act Cap A15 LFN 2005, the amount standing to the credit of the Federation account less the sum equivalent to 13% of the revenue accruing to the Federation account directly from any natural resources as a first charge for distribution to the beneficiaries of the derivation funds is presently distributed among the federal, state, and local governments as: A. Federal government 52.68%. B. State government 26.72%. C. Local government councils 20.60%, total 100%. Budgeting and budgetary control. The executive arm of government prepares the budget for the approval of the legislature, which is assented by the council chairman. The following are the budgetary control procedures. A. Approval. Payments must be approved before spending. B. Monthly reports. These are prepared to compare actual figures with the budget and exact variations. C. Actual actions are taken to correct the errors or reflect variations. D. Internal audit. From time to time, the internal auditors verify the integrity of the accounts and write reports appropriately. E. External audit. The Auditor General for Local Government verifies the records of all local government councils in the state. F. Limit of expenditure. The individual local government officers have limits of expenditure payments which they must not exceed. Chapter review. This chapter discusses the functions of the local government stated at the 4th Schedule, Part 1 of the 1999 Constitution. Its sources of income and types of expenditure are recognized statutorily. The local government councils prepare yearly budgets and are required to adhere strictly to them.